Gozyuger episode 6. Once again, this was another fantastic episode of Gozyuger. Superior Sentai, this series continues to be on point after each week, and once again, this week was no exception as we got another banger of an episode. So, Gozyuger episode 6. Going into this week's episode from last week's trailer, I was expecting this episode to be like wacky, silly fun through most of the episode. And although it was very gag heavy through like the first couple minutes of the episode, the later half of the episode is when we get the big plot reveals and the big character moments for our cast. And one of them is we learn about Haru's past, which is fascinating. And I just want to jump into that right away because I don't want to do it bit by bit. I don't want to do the play-by-play. Haru's past. So we actually find out what the heck is going on with Haru's past. And we learned out that he used to have a brother apparently. And one day they were playing in the woods and they ran into the woods too far and they ended up in another world. And where this other world is, we have no idea. But we see a tower in the background that gave me Bandora's tower vibes, to be honest. But it had a giant heart in the background, it looks like. I have no idea. But apparently it was known as No One's World, as they called it with my sub-translation. So he basically ended up in another world. And then he made some friends along the way, which is that girl that we saw in the flashback. But it took him 10 years to return back to the real world, and when he returned back to the real world, the family that he once had moved on, and they basically had like 2 more kids after that. So it looks like he was gone for 10 years, and during those 10 years he was gone, he was already replaced by his family, which is kind of a sad thing to see because, you know, he had people who loved him and were close to him, and then when he was gone for so long, he was replaced and on his own. It was like he never existed. And I really do hope that we get a follow-up on Haru's past because I feel like there's more to that backstory than what we were told because, like, what was with that castle in the background? Will we learn more about it? Is there another villain faction out there? I have so many questions and I doubt I'm going to get all the answers. But like I was saying at the start of the review, I thought this episode was going to be really gag heavy when I saw last week's preview, but it was only like maybe like 10 minutes of gags or like 8 minutes of gags at least. Like it wasn't like the entire like first half of the episode before the commercial break and then the action fighting happens, which kind of does happen, but they give you some great character moments leading up to the fights in this episode. But also it brings an end to the Tokunatsu story arc as well, like the big first obstacle that our heroes have to confront, or Haru has to confront, that he set out to defeat and he ended up defeating him, which we did learn a little bit more about his past and how he just wanted friends, and then Haru became his best friend in the end, and that's what turned the guy around. All he needed was a friend in the end, a best friend, a super best friend you could say, and he ended up getting defeated, which was a really cool fight scene. They had this sort of like gunslingers at dawn showdown where they would charge at each other, and Haru ended up winning that one. That was really cool as well. I really did enjoy that. One of the other things we get to see is we got to see Megazord Black, and we got to see one of the transformation formations with Sumino in the unicorn form where it grows horse legs and it ran around this giant cake bowl, which was really cool to see. Like visually it looked really impressive in the end as well. But going back to what I've said several times in this review, I thought this episode was going to be a heavy gag-centric focused episode, and then we'd get the action in the end. I didn't think we'd get the big plot reveal halfway through the episode. But when I originally saw these trailers, I thought this episode would be sort of like a Takeshi's Castle thing going on with all the different wacky, silly gags or challenges that the Rangers would have to do in the end. And when you got to see Tokunatsu using the Bokenja ring to create a castle, which, why Bokenja? I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments who's seen Bokenja can explain that to me. Please explain. I have no idea. I've seen Operation Overdrive. I have not seen Bokenja, so no idea why that ring power would create a giant Takeshi's Castle in the end. But when they go for the castle, they've got a bunch of gags they need to do. There's tag, and the Green Ranger plays that because he hasn't played tag in 80 years, so he has a lot of fun. And then the next challenge is dodgeball, which leads to a really funny gag with the Yellow Ranger where he picks up the dodgeball, uses his super strength, and he throws like 2 of those guys into the freaking wall. Like, he leaves a crater with him with how hard he throws that dodgeball. But it makes the other IEs or the other mooks or the other putties, whatever you want to call them, they end up surrendering because they're scared of his strength. And even Sumino makes note of that by saying, remind me never to piss him off. And the Blue Ranger's like, yeah, I've been trying to do that my entire life ever since I've known him, which is kind of funny. I got a kick out of that gag. So the next challenge is they have to roleplay as a family, and Horo is feeling weird about it because that's when we lead into the big reveal of what happened to his family and why he's been on his own for so long. So that roleplay gag was a lot of fun. I mean, you get to see the Blue Ranger. I believe it's the Blue Ranger, one of them, because they're all dressed up, but you have the Yellow Ranger Byakugami. He punches one of them like right through like the house, and that led to a little funny gag. But the fight between Fire Candle and all of that was a lot of fun as well. Definitely got a kick out of that one. But the big reveal, the big reveal at the end of this week's episode is you have Sumino, like I mentioned earlier. She's fighting Mrs. Cake and Knife, whatever the hell they're called. The two-headed general that they have, I forgot their name already. Cake and Sweet Cake, whatever they're called. She's fighting them in the mech, and it seems like she's won, but they end up regenerating in the end. And suddenly, out of nowhere, you have Daijujin, or for you Power Ranger fans, these Dino Megazord, coming out of nowhere, looking like Guts from Berserk, where it's got this like cloak over them that makes it look really freaking badass. I love that design going into it, because it's like the Dino Megazord with a gag in it, and then inside of the mech, of course, is someone being MMPR Red or the Tyranno Ranger, and seeing the close-up shots we get of that suit is freaking amazing. Like, I've seen some really good like cosplay outfits of the Red Ranger with like the brand new helmets that they can make, or cosplayers can make, and they look really freaking good. Or even seeing like the MMPR Red suit in Once and Always, like that looked really clean as well. Here, the like lighting and the shots they use where you see the teeth on the Tyranno outfit looked really freaking amazing. Like the sharpness of that teeth around the visor looked really freaking cool. Like, I feel like that's like the cleanest we've ever seen that suit in Sentai in a while. Like, it's been a while since we've seen that suit, and to see it, we saw it in Zenkaija for like a brief second, but now we get to see it again and seeing it up close, like I said, with all that lighting and stuff like that. And going to next week's episode, it looks so clean. Like, that's probably going to be one of my thumbnails, like either the Dino Megazord or like the MMPR Red Ranger, which he will be appearing in next week's episode. So we'll definitely be talking about that character in next week's episode. So yeah, that's that. But that's the big cliffhanger. It ends with the Dino Megazord just coming out of nowhere and assisting our heroes in the end, which is definitely going to lead into like the Robo Universe toy line that they dropped, where you have the figures of like certain Red Rangers and the Dino Megazord Red Ranger, or the Dino Megazord, or the Daijujin Robo figure that can swap its arms and stuff like that. That's probably alluding to that. But I can't wait to see like the Daijujin in next week's episode, because it's been so long since we've seen that suit. And it looks like they rebuilt it from the ground up. I don't know if it's CG. I couldn't tell from like the very short preview we got, but I can't wait to see that suit again. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like, I know it's MMPR, but we get to see those suits again in modern day Toei fashion, and I can't wait to see how it's going to look. Hopefully it looks really good. Because like the Daijujin is like up there with one of my favorite Megazord designs, or mech designs, whatever you want to call it. But that was this week's episode of Gozyuger. I really liked it. I got a kick out of it, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next. So with that said, I will catch you guys later. Peace out, take care, and bye.